G'day guys, welcome to GPU Hash. On this channel we will be exploring the mining hash rates of almost every GPU available. So no matter which GPU you have, we will put it to the test. If you like content like this, I'd really appreciate one of these, a thumbs up, and if you could hit the subscribe button as well so you never miss another video. In today's video we're going to build a mining rig from scratch. I'll list all the hardware requirements and things that you need in the description below. We'll go through everything step by step to make sure that it's working for you from start to finish. So if you've got any questions or any feedback, please leave it in the comment in the field below, and I will respond to every comment. Alright, with that said, let's get into it. Okay, so step one is obviously assembling the mining frame. So we've got all our pieces here. Step one is to grab, so the bottom piece obviously is the big flat piece where the motherboard and all the parts sit on. What we do is grab the big tall U-shaped sort of looking piece, and that goes right on the corner. Just like that, and you'll see that on either side there are two holes. So you just grab your screwdriver and you just push some holes in. All the holes are all marked already. There. And one at the back here. And on this side as well, there's one at the back and one on the side. This side. Yeah. That's that. The next step is to take the other smaller U-shaped one, and that goes on the other side. Just like that. Same thing, there are holes in the back and the side. Whack those in. And here as well. Okay, the next step is to put the side rails in. Again, there's holes on the sides here. That goes so that this part goes to the outside, but it's mounted from the inside. So we'll just whack these ones in here. And here. And on the other side, same thing. This part here goes to the outside, it's mounted from inside. This here. Okay, that's that step. And then the last step is this is the riser holder. So that just goes in the middle. There are two holes on either side. So we'll just screw those in with the screws that were here. And we're done. That's our mining frame built. So now we can go ahead and put the motherboard in. This is the motherboard, CPU and RAM. Now I've chosen to go with just a micro ATX motherboard, CPU and RAM, just because I'm only using this machine as a test rig, but you could go for a motherboard that has 4 or 5 or 6 slots if you want to use multiple GPUs. But if you're just wanting to dip your toe in the water, these micro ATX are cheap. They're a good way to get a couple of GPUs going and see how it's going for you. So this one can do 3 GPUs. It's got an X16 slot, which you will need for the higher end GPUs like your 3070, 3080, those sort of things will require an X16 slot to get full hash rate. The lower end GPUs can use the X1 slots with no trouble. So yeah, so that's basically it. So now we've got our standoffs put on there, which I've done previously. So we're just going to mount our motherboard on the case, like so. Okay, and that's done too. Motherboard is mounted to the mining frame. Now the next step is the power supply. So the power supply, we need to connect now. The only thing to note with the power supply is the wattage on the power supply will depend on how many graphics cards you're planning to have in there, and also its power as well, its power consumption. So for instance, if you're using a higher end 3080 or a 3090, you would want nothing less than an 850 to 1000 watt power supply. If you're using, say, an RX 570 or a 580, something like that, like a 500 to 600 watt would be fine. So the general rule of thumb is that the system itself, which is the motherboard, the CPU and the RAM, that generally drains about 100 to 150 watts of power, and then your GPU is responsible for the rest. So if your GPU is pulling, say, 250 watts, and your system is pulling 150 watts, that's 400 watts. And the other general rule of thumb is that you should have some headroom for yourself. So you should have 80%. You shouldn't go above 80% of the total of what you're producing as to what your power supply can handle. So if you're producing 800 watts, if you're using 800 watts of power, I would go with a 1000 watt power supply just to give you that extra 20% buffer. So what I wouldn't do is if you're using 800 watts, I wouldn't buy an 800 watt power supply because you just have no headroom, because it does fluctuate a lot. It will go up and down. But look, I mean, the other thing is that you could use whatever power supply you have, and you can look to use MSI Afterburner to be able to undervolt and overclock your GPUs to use less watts. So that's an option for you as well if you haven't got the funds to go out and buy another power supply. Yeah, for the purpose of this exercise, I'm only using one graphics card and one power supply. So I've got a 500 watt power supply at the moment, which I think will be enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my power supply in now. What I do recommend is, here's my power supply here, all the cables, this is my power supply, is to actually mount the power supply with double-sided tape, just 1, 2, 3, 4. You can just mount that just here, and also all your ports and stuff like that are going to be on this side, so I would definitely have the power switch and the power input on the same side as your motherboard inputs, which is on this side. So my power supply is going to go this way, and it's going to fit this little section here. Like that. And I'll quickly put all the cabling behind. That's to be installed later. Now there are also screws that line up on this side. There are two screws you can use to mount the power supply to the mining frame. So you can do that, as well as use the tape, the double-sided tape. Or you could just go with the two screws if you want. So for now, I think I'm just going to go with the two screws. So we'll screw that in here. And another one at the bottom. Okay, so that's somewhat secure. When I finish, I will go ahead and put double-sided tape on the underneath of it as well, so just to make sure that it doesn't kind of move and bobble around. But for the moment, that should be fine. So the next step, I guess, is to connect your motherboard to your power supply to your motherboard. Obviously, you have the. I'm assuming that you guys know how to connect a computer, but if you don't, you've got the two the power cable that goes here. So we'll quickly put that in. Just like that. So it clicks. And then we have the CPU one, which is one of these. Will be the one that has the 8-pin connector, so it's the 2 4s, as opposed to the 6 and 2, which is for the graphics card, which I'll show you later. Here we go. So it actually says on their CPU 1 and 2. So this motherboard only needs one 4-pin connector. So some motherboards, you might have one that requires 2, so you can use the same cable. But that one there is definitely for a CPU, so we'll plug that one in. Just like that. Thanks. Everything else is in. Okay, so that is the power supply. The next step is the SSD, so connecting your SSD. So again, you could use double-sided tape. I just used one piece, cut it off. You can stick it right in this section here. You've got easy access to your ports. And yeah, so we'll just do that now quickly. Okay. So I've got my SSD. And I'm just going to grab some double-sided tape. Just cut a single piece. So just like that. So it should go upside down, because generally the connectors like to go that way. So I'll just put a bit of double-sided tape. That away. Just like that. And stick it there. Now it's not going to go anywhere. It's happy. So we can connect the SATA cable. Like that, and you can connect the SATA port of the cable to any of the SATA ports on the motherboard. It doesn't matter. Because I have access to those. Just like that. And then obviously we need to power it as well. There we go, that's powered. Okay, so that's the SSD done. It's connected correctly. I'm just checking. Yep, rammed in. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is the GPU riser. So again, these will be linked in the description. You can buy these on eBay or Amazon or wherever you want to get them from. They're relatively inexpensive. You can get the SATA versions or the Molex versions. I personally prefer the SATA version. It's just kind of easier to power, but so next. Okay. So that's just going to sit right there like that. You can obviously place it wherever you like. I'm just going to put one on the end, just like that. The easiest way I think to set it up is to grab your GPU. At the moment this is just an RX 460, 4 gig. You can test whatever card you want. Obviously your card's going to be different to mine, but and then you can see the slot. That just push the white piece back. So card goes in the slot like that. Pull the white piece, so it goes to the end. That's just logged in, and then the GPU will sit like that. The hole. This has got holes on there all the way across, so it'll line up perfectly for you. And we're just going to sit that like that. Okay, there we go. That is secure, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so the next part from here is to, we're going to connect the USB, so you get a USB A to A cable. So one port goes in here, and the other one goes into this little PCI riser. Which goes into the X16. So if you've only got one graphics card like me, always use the X16 slot. You'll get the best performance out of it, which is the big long one. The short ones are the X1s, the long ones are the X16s. So you just connect this like that. And this only goes one way. So you've got it connected so that the red piece is sticking out of the slot, not going into the red piece, doesn't go in this way, it goes like that. Just like so. And you can bend this cable underneath, bring it over the top, and plug it in like so. And obviously the next thing we've got to do is we've got to power the riser, because the GPU won't get power without the riser. Now this particular card doesn't require any external power from the power supply. Your card most likely will. So you'd need to use one of these 6+2s to power it. This card doesn't require that, but it does need power to the riser. So I'm just going to go ahead and power this riser here. Okay, just like that. And then that's done. Okay, so here is the power switch. So how this works is this goes into your motherboard, and then this just sits out externally, so it just gives you an ability to be able to power the machine on and off, instead of having to grab a screwdriver and actually short the two circuits. So we don't want to do that. Though if you're experienced enough, you can set it like that. This is just an easy way to connect it. So that, depending on your motherboard, it will most likely be the it'll be one of these sets of 5. You probably can't see this, but I'm going to go ahead and connect this. It's going to be that one there. Can't really do much damage with these. It'll either work or it won't work. Okay, there's my power switch. That just enables me to start the thing. Okay. Alright, so that's done. So that's basically all we need to do. So we've connected our motherboard to the machine, to the mining frame. Obviously your CPU, the RAM is all connected. You've powered the motherboard with the power supply. We've connected our power supply. We've powered that with the big 24P. We have connected the SSD, and we've powered the SSD as well as given the SSD some data through the SATA port. We have connected the riser and the GPU, and we've powered the riser. Now, like I said, your GPU will probably need to be powered separately. This one doesn't, because it's a very low-end GPU, which can still be used for mining, which we'll see. So your one will definitely have a power, but this one doesn't. And that is pretty much it. The next step, obviously, from this is to install Windows on your machine. I have a little USB which has got a Windows boot device which you can create on the Windows website. On the Microsoft website. But other than that, let's plug her in and see how we go. I'll be back in a sec once we're plugged in and we're up and running. Now it's time to go and grab the actual miner and configure the batch file and get you on your way. So, as I said at the start of the video, this is a AMD graphics card that I've got in there. You might have an NVIDIA card, but for me, I'm using an AMD card, so I highly recommend Team Red Miner for AMD. If you've got an NVIDIA card, I highly recommend T-Rex. Claymore's a good one, NB Miner, there's some good ones out there for NVIDIA. Even NiceHash is fantastic for NVIDIA. But for AMD, definitely Team Red is the way to go. So we're going to open up a web browser and we're going to go to, just type in Team Red Miner and enter. And we want to find the official download, which is actually on the github.com website. So you'll see here under releases, it says github.com/Team Miner. That's the one we want. So click on that. Always make sure you've got the latest version as well. This is, at the time of recording, version 0.8.5. That's the latest version. So we want to scroll down here and we want to download Team Red Miner v085 for Windows zip. So if you're a Linux user, you download this one, but we're going to download for Windows. So we're going to click this. Now, one thing I will say is if you have your antivirus on. Windows tends to think that coin miners are have Trojans in them, so it will either flag it, or it may even try to delete it or not allow you to open it. So highly recommend just disabling your antivirus just so that you can go download this. You can also put exceptions in there as well if you want to have your antivirus running whilst you're mining, but I just turn mine off. It's a lot easier, just turn it all off as opposed to just trying to get in there and create exceptions, but you can if you want to. So now that we've downloaded our file, just click this little folder button here, and it's going to bring us directly through. Now you will need to expand this. I use WinRAR. It's very good. It will just allow you to expand that. So if you just double click on that, and we're going to click on this here, you need to extract it. So I'm going to just extract it to my desktop. So click on desktop. I just click the little plus button here, and you can click on new folder, and I'm just going to call this team. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm just going to call it Team Red Miner, and I want it to extract the files to this folder, so I'm going to go OK, and that's done now. So we're going to close this off, and look for our folder that we just made, which is Team Red Miner. So open that up, open this one up as well. And here are the files that have been pre-made for you, depending on which algorithm you're wanting to mine. Now we're going to go with Ethereum Ethash, which is this one. So start_eth. This is the batch file that we're going to edit. Now this is where you're going to put your wallet address in there. Now if you haven't got you don't know how to get a wallet, I'm assuming that you guys already have a wallet. But if you don't, there's plenty of videos on YouTube, or I've got one myself. You can check that out if you want to know how to create a Ethereum wallet. But for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to assume that you've already done that. So hit the edit button, and you come up with this notepad file here with all this stuff in here. Now, one thing to note is that where you see the dots, the 4 dots here, all of these lines, wherever you see that, it's actually just information, so it's not an executable line or a command where it's got these dots in here. All it's just giving you some instructions on what to do. So you'll see that the ones that don't have the 4 dots, like this line here, that's actually an executable instruction. So we need to make sure that we get this right. This stuff here doesn't really matter. It's just text that doesn't get executed. So we're going to delete all of this. So just highlight all of that, and hit the delete button, and you can even do the top button as well, the top row. So this is going to be our executable file. For AMD cards, you need to have this setting here. This is just to set the allocation percentages, so we'll keep that. And this is going to be our command line here. So teamredminer.exe, so it's going to run that file. And so -a means the algorithm we're going to be mining is Ethash. So our stratum address, you can keep all of this as it is. Now, depending on whereabouts in the world you are, if you're in the European sector, you can use eu1.ethermine.org and keep the port at 4444. Now, if you're in the US, depending on where in the US you are, you can choose US1 or US2, which is generally for US West or US East. And so you can keep all of that the same if you want. And here's the part where we're going to change. So U is your wallet, or your user address or user ID, which is your wallet here. Now I have my wallet address saved here. This is a text document on my. So I'm just going to highlight that, copy, and we're going to highlight this. And I'm going to get rid of this and put my own wallet here, paste, and after the dot you can just call it whatever you like. This is just going to be, I'm just going to call this rig1. That's just the name of our rig. The -p is password, and the fact that it's got an X there just means that there's no password. So that's all you need to do. So all I've done is, now if you want to, you can choose your pool. If you want to mine to 2 miners or any other pool, you can go to that website, grab the pool settings, and just paste over top of this. But for the purpose of this exercise, we'll stick with eu1.ethermine.org, and the port address is 4444. So we'll keep all of that. So we're just going to save this and head back to our Team Red folder. And now what we're going to do is going to run that file, which is the one that we edited, which is start_f. Just double click on that and away you go. Just going to grab this. Okay, one other thing that I will point out is to get the best out of an AMD card, what we need to do is we need to enable compute. So you can see that little command there, which we're going to put in our batch file. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back to my file here. And we're going to go back to the Eth file, edit this one, right click and edit. And at the end of this, I'm just going to put -- enable _compute. What that does is it just changes the power of the graphics card. We're not actually using its graphics potential, we're using its computational power. So we're going to change it from graphics to compute so that we get a much higher hash rate. Save that. The other thing that you probably should do if you have an AMD card is to right click and open up AMD Radeon software, and you'll be greeted with this page here at home. So we're going to go to the settings tab and up to graphics, and you're going to hit the advanced tab and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to change the GPU workload from graphics to compute. And when you do that, it's going to quickly restart your AMD software. Because the system software is restarted, we can go back to Team Red Miner and open this folder here, and we're going to go back to our start_f batch file that we created before, and we'll double click that, and now you can see that it says enable compute up the top there. So that command has been added, which is going to change the graphics card from graphics to compute. So it'll be using its computational power. And now the DAG file has just been created. Now it's 100%. Now the good thing about Team Red Miner is it also has an inbuilt tuning facility as well. So you'll see that this GPU is still tuning. So it's going to start, so it's starting at 6.9 megahash. I'm expecting this to get to about 24, 25. So let's just give it a sec, let it do its thing. It's still tuning. I'm expecting the next one should be about 12 or 13. Let's wait to see what we get. Oh, jumped straight to 21.3. That's excellent. Still tuning. So it's still trying to find the best overclock settings for the card. So you'll see here it was using 75 watts. It's moved up to 116 watts, but it's gone from 6 to 21, which is perfect. So your card will do the same. So these white lines here, these are not shares received. You'll see when it receives a share, it will turn green. You can see now we're at 24.47, and you can see it's still trying to find the best settings. GPU 0 tuning complete. So it's found the best settings for your card. So you should see now that we should be starting to get green. So we're at 24.48, and they should start to turn green soon, which will mean that the shares are actually being accepted. Because as you know, with mining, it's not so much about your hash rate, but you get paid on shares accepted. So we want to start seeing some green shares pretty soon. So let's just wait to give it a minute and see what it can do. By the way, if you like the music that's on this track, it was actually created by the guys at Try Music. If you're uploading YouTube content and you're looking for someone to do some background music for you, or just some chill stuff, contact the guys at Try Music, and I'm sure they'll be able to hook you up. You'll be able to see right here we've got a green one, share accepted. So there we have our first share that's been accepted, and hence we are successfully mining. Great, so this one will run for days. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of this video. Now, if you've found this content really useful, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Like I said at the start of the video, it'll help to get this type of content out into people's eyes that want to see this. If you could hit the subscribe button as well, that would be fantastic, just so that we can you'll be able to see every upcoming video that I've got coming your way. We will be testing almost every graphics card available for the maximum hash rate. So stick around and check out your GPU. I'd love you to leave some comments. That would be fantastic. If you've got better settings or you've been able to use a different miner to get better results, please leave a comment, and I will do my best to get to every comment. Well, that's the end of this video, guys, so I really appreciate you sticking around, and we'll see you in the next one.